Hey guys, so today we are going to talk about how narcissists treat their old sources of supply. And before we get started on YouTube, I just wanted to encourage you guys to like, share, and please subscribe if you enjoy my videos. So, with that said, let's get narcissists, they live and they breathe and they eat and they sleep narcissistic supply. And it is praise, it is admiration and status that makes their life worth living. While we all feel like we like to feel special from time to time, narcissists are addicted. They're like addicts in their never ending search for more narcissistic supply. Given the importance of supply, those victimized by narcissistic abuse might wonder how narcissists treat their old supply sources and what causes them to act that way. How a narcissist treats their former source of narcissistic supply has very little to do with the person and everything to do with the narcissist's current state of mind. And if a narcissist needs supply and thinks that you can provide it, they will do every single thing they can to get you back and manipulate you into giving the supply they need once they see that you've begun to heal and you're getting your light back, your life force back, which is what they feed off of. And that's why everybody says that, oh, I was a shell of my former self, because that narcissist siphoned all of the life force out of you and replaced that life force with the darkness, the void that lies within their soul and their being. Okay, so sometimes the narcissist has found a better and newer source of supply. That means nothing about you. It means nothing about the narcissist's new supply either, because you are nothing to them and you are treated with contempt or completely ignored. And to truly understand the effect that narcissistic supply has on relationships, we need to kind of unravel the meaning of supply and why it has such power over the narcissist. So society tends to think of narcissists as cunning and sometimes evil people that seek out victims to control. And while some might behave this way, most are not psychopaths who are devoid of normal human emotions. So they're brimming with emotions like insecurity, doubt, self-hatred, guilt, shame. Narcissists seek positive affirmation from their environment, their romantic partners, their friends, their coworkers, their neighbors, and they do this to deal with these negative feelings. So that affirmation is referred to as narcissistic supply, and without it, the narcissist can go into a narcissistic collapse, which is where they feel they're depressed, they literally can't get out of bed, they feel empty and worthless, they become a shell of their former self. So what do narcissists do whenever they run out of supply? Exactly, and why? In the beginning, they might lash out against previous sources of supply in their mind, and these are the people that are supposed to make them feel better, and they're not doing their job. And failing that, the narcissist will look for new supply sources, and those are people who are not aware of the narcissist manipulation and the pathological lying. And if they're unable to find any supply sources, they're likely to become despondent, withdrawing from the world, and that world is unable to recognize their talents and their genius and their greatness. So there are different types of narcissistic supply, and there are two types, and it comes in the form of primary and secondary supply, or positive and negative supply. Primary supply, for all but the most famous and well-connected, primary supply can be hard to come by. It is the kind of recognition and admiration that comes from people you don't know very well, all the adoring fans of the narcissist. So the narcissist ends up seeking out this form of supply through sexual conquest, making connections in their career or even criminal acts of violence sometimes. And this is all for attention, whether it's positive or negative. Even negative publicity and criminal punishment counts as narcissistic supply. Secondary supply, okay, so this comes from the people that the narcissist regularly interacts with, their current partner, their friends, their neighbors, their coworkers, and these are people who sustain the narcissist daily by showering them with praise and admiration. And should they fail in this respect, they would be coerced into a one-sided relationship where they must constantly express their approval for the narcissist, not to, they're walking on eggshells, I guess it's easier to say. The partners of these narcissists often wonder, do narcissists care about their supply? Both primary and secondary sources are rendered expendable given enough time, though. But did the narcissist have feelings for them in the first place? And the answer to that is no. They don't have the emotional capacity to care about anybody as an individual, and they are only seen as objects, sources of supply which can be drawn upon whenever necessary. So the narcissist enters a new relationship, and there's this honeymoon phase, the love bombing phase. And this is a time when the narcissist is generally brimming with excitement and affection towards their new partner. But unfortunately, these feelings aren't so much arising from the new partner as they are the narcissist themselves. And this begs the question, did the narcissist ever love the new supply? And no, they only loved what that person could give them in the form of supply, because it's all about supply at the end of the day. And they could love how this new person makes them feel. And as with any infatuation, those feelings will fade over time. And the narcissist, they will kind of grow frustrated with their new partner's inability to excite them and in the way that they used to be excited. And every new partner is being set up to fail by the narcissist. So over time, the new source of supply becomes less desirable to the narcissist. And to remedy this, the narcissist will devalue the partner in an attempt to control them and get more of that supply, just not in a positive form. They need this desperately. So eventually, this tactic, it fails, and the narcissist has a choice. Do you discard, or do you look for a new source of supply, or both? And when narcissists discard, they usually find a new partner very, very quickly, or they more than likely had already found one before the discard happened. And discarding is a confident move that the narcissist only makes when they are feeling comfortable in their ability to obtain and procure further supply. Immediately following the breakup, or in the case of the narcissistic discard, the narcissist probably will not be all that interested in old supply. And they've walked away from that supply source because they have a new one and no longer need the old one. So this period of aloofness does not last forever, though. Then there are several different ways that a narcissist might react during this time. They might become your worst enemy, and you might assume that an abrupt and acrimonious breakup would mean that a narcissist will never ever speak to you again. But unfortunately, this is rarely the case, as the narcissist might choose to carry on a largely negative relationship with you, where they insult, demean, and attempt to make your life worse. And this type of relationship functions as supply from the narcissist, and they've got your attention. More importantly, they are exerting control over you in one form or another. So if you have found a new partner, they'll try to sabotage that relationship, and you'll need to be there should they require more supply in their minds. And you having a new partner complicates that. Do narcissists go back to their old sources of supply? In short, absolutely all the time. Narcissists, they require that continual supply, and sometimes they don't have a new relationship or they haven't properly groomed and trained their new partner to give them what they need, and they haven't familiarized with that relationship. And so they need a familiar relationship that was in the past, one where they knew exactly how to control the person and extract the supply that the narcissist needs. And often the narcissist will approach you and say that they made a mistake by leaving the relationship or neglecting the relationship. And on the other hand, they may seem genuinely remorseful. And that's the thing that gets most of us, is they are telling you how unhappy they are in this new relationship. And so since they're returning to you, the latter part of the statement may actually be true, because the narcissist is not getting what they want from their new supply source. And they're not sorry, though. They're not sorry about leaving you. And the narcissist, they're oblivious to your emotions during all of this. And since their mind is so preoccupied with those emotions, the narcissist only knows that they're feeling unsatisfied and that you were able to help them in the past. And that's it. And in this situation, your best option, you should be no contact, but your best option is to walk away politely, calmly, and telling the narcissist that your relationship was never good and that it was for the best that you separated. Don't believe the apologies. This will only get you sucked into another go around of the cycle of abuse, or idealize, devalue, and discard. So Narcissists, they really love to switch out their sources of supply when they're not getting what they need. Like, really, really love to. And for instance, so say a narcissist might start an extramarital affair while maintaining their relationship with their spouse. The narcissist, they need to hide that new supply from the old supply to keep everything running smoothly, and they want that rush that comes with the affair and the thought of getting caught, and which you can think of an affair as primary supply, while they're kind of holding on to that respectability and status of being married, which would be the secondary source of supply. They may not be completely sold on their new relationship, and they need to know that this new source of supply can give them the level of supply that they've become accustomed to. And since they are returning to you, the latter part of that statement, again, may be true. The narcissist obviously is not getting what they want. So this deception won't last forever, as eventually the narcissist will start to feel safe with the new supply and then still need the old. And they're ready to take the new relationship public with the narcissist showing off their new supply, and they'll be less careful about meeting with the new partner or covering up the evidence from doing something like that. And if say if somebody called them out about their affair, they'll blame the old supply, saying that they weren't good enough to make the relationship worthwhile. And this kind of gaslighting, exactly this, is the hallmark of narcissistic abuse. And narcissists are often quite adept at covering their tracks when they don't have a new source of supply. They don't care, though, about how you feel, but they do care about keeping a foot in the door and maintaining access to an old source of supply, mainly money and asset reasons, I would imagine. And these are just a few of the subtle cues that make it very clear the narcissist has a new supply. When a narcissist has a new source of supply, they are on top of the world and they want everyone to know it. And in addition, their new relationship, it brings them confidence and status, and it'll make them appear much more extroverted with friends and colleagues. So when they turn to you, that outgoingness will evaporate, as you are a reminder of that past self who was lacking in so many ways. They'll stop planning the future with you and start with the new supply. And remember, whenever the narcissist was your soulmate, and you just knew that you were going to be together forever, and that was definitely more than likely a case of love bombing, emotional manipulation intended to make you feel special. But that comes to a screeching halt when they no longer need you as a source of supply. So the love bombing may abruptly stop if there is a new source of supply, and they start pointing out all your flaws. They're concerned about your appearance, and they don't make comparisons as much as they make evaluations. And sources of supply, they're like a restaurant menu. If the narcissist will order something depending on how different they're feeling at the moment, and sometimes they need a sexual conquest to feel attractive, and at other times they need reassurance and praise from an intimate relationship to boost their self-confidence at the same time. And they may compare supply insofar as they assess what kind of supply that they need at the moment and whether they can obtain it from either source. And in general, they do prefer new supply to old supply. As with all things new, it makes it feels more special. There's all of the love hormones going on, and the familiarity, though, the lack of that familiarity makes for a more exciting relationship, and it is the source and the supply source is less aware of the narcissist manipulation tactics, so they are way easier to brainwash and control. So having your partner, having the person that you thought you were going to spend the rest of your life with, walk away from your relationship looking like they don't have a care in the world is absolutely painful and brutal. You feel devalued, and that pain likely won't heal before your next relationship. Some people don't heal for the rest of their lives, and a clean break, though, is probably the best thing that you could ask for from a narcissist, at least for a while, because they'll be obsessed with that relationship that they replaced your relationship with. So use that obsession to your advantage to get as far away from the narcissist as possible. My name is Sara Ann Brown, and this is Narcissistic Abuse 101.